So the Harvest Moon games have been going on for a long time, since like '96 when it first came out on the SNES. And it's one of those sort of weird phenomenons in the video game world. There's not really a lot of like marketing money going behind it, and it's kind of weird because it's just a series of farming RPGs. Yet, for some reason, people love it. It has this really intense fan base that has just followed it all the way. And it's easy. It's one of those things where it's really easy if you haven't played the game to just say, okay, farming RPG, whatever, and just dismiss the whole thing. But if you actually sit down and you play it for a little while, it becomes really clear really quickly why these games are so popular among the people that play them. Now, Natsume, the company that publishes and develops these games, has just released the first GameCube iteration called Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. It doesn't really change too much from the other previous Harvest Moon games. It's pretty much the same stuff. You know, you're doing the farming and whatever. It's really good. It's a very good game. It's, like I said, it's very much like the other Harvest Moon games, but with a better presentation. As I mentioned earlier, Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life is an RPG, but it's not your typical sort of, you know, save the world from an ultimate evil and learn the true meaning of yourself or whatever. It's not that kind of RPG. It's not the RPG that you know. The main character doesn't really have any stats to speak of, but instead you're more concerned about the health of your farm, which is made up of a lot of different parts. There's livestock to take care of, sheep, goats, horses, cows. There's chickens, there's a lot of crops that you have to grow, or that you can grow, rather. And then obviously you want to, you know, get paid for the stuff that you're doing. Now, you do sort of start getting into this routine, doing day-to-day stuff, which makes sense since it's a farm, and that's very much about the day-to-day. But the game mixes it up a lot by just throwing in lots of different variables just to keep every day from seeming exactly the same. There'll be different events that'll happen. There's like a salesman that comes through that you talk to regularly, and just stuff happens. So if you get tired of doing the regular things every day, you know, taking care of the plants, taking care of the animals, whatever, there's plenty of other stuff for you to do in the area. You can go fishing, you can go on an archaeological dig, you can just go and hang out in the local bar and just drink if you want to do it. So it's kind of open-ended in that way. People who've played like The Sims or Animal Crossing, games like that where it is just sort of open-ended, Harvest Moon has very much the same feel. So like I said, you go down to the bar, you can just talk to people, and that's actually an important thing for you to do. It's something that you have to do a lot of in the game for you to really be able to progress. Now, the social interaction in Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life isn't really as like full-fledged and kind of well-realized as what you found in Animal Crossing, but it's still really good. And you'll actually have kind of deeper relationships with people. You'll eventually have to find a girl to marry to build a family on your farm. Now there's 3 girls in the area, and each of them has their own sort of unique personality. And which girl you choose, or I guess get to marry, will affect the personality of the child that you eventually have. Which is kind of interesting, and it also means that they'll react differently to the way that you sort of proposition them and pursue them. And that whole aspect of it, the whole romantic aspect of the game is really well realized and is a lot of fun to sort of take part in. The thing about Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life that really kind of makes it just a lot of fun and really kind of sells the whole experience and makes it really immersive is just a lot of like the really crazy sort of obsessive compulsive details that they put into the game. Like take the weather, for example. There's a fully dynamic weather system. There's 4 different seasons that happen at an accelerated rate, and that's just an example. The game is just absolutely filled with little details like that. The graphics in Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life, and actually in all the Harvest Moon games, the overall sort of theme of the series is kind of quaint. They definitely go for, it's sort of like a junior version of anime. You know, very, you know, adorable, cute little characters, and that definitely translates into A Wonderful Life. Most of the previous Harvest Moon games have been 2D, and A Wonderful Life is, in fact, 3D, but it does a great job of sort of taking that look and transferring it over. It is, without a doubt, the best-looking Harvest Moon game to date. The area of Forget-Me-Not Valley is rich with detail. There's just a lot of different environments. You can walk down from the beach, go up along the stream that's in the middle of town. You can go check out town, go uphill past the archaeological site, and head to the waterfall. And between and on that journey, you will just see a myriad of different environments. It's very cool. One of the best things about the visuals in A Wonderful Life is the lighting. The shadows look really good. Basically everything in the world, people, animals, buildings, trees, all this stuff will cast its own shadows. And the shadows, if you look at them really close, they look kind of pixelated, but just sort of taking in the whole game. The sound is kind of the same way. It's something you can actually really easily ignore the whole sound design in the game, because a lot of the sound effects just kind of sound generic. It's kind of cutesy and just a little bit generic, but just the whole design, there's a lot of craft in it, and it comes together and it works really well. This is not a game for everyone. Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life is definitely the very definition of quirky. So if you like your video games more straight ahead, might not be able to get into it. But if stuff like The Sims, if stuff like Animal Crossing, if you really like those games, there's a lot of what you liked about those games in Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life.